off, and out there our first. Down into turn 2, down the back stretch. Starts to open up that advantage into 3 and 4. Fielding, leading Perry. Perry, but not enough. John Fielding. They're at the stripe. They are set to go. It's turn 1 and 2. Gerard out front of Jiggers. Jiggers ready for that bumper. Gerard down in 3 and 4. Does he have enough time? We shall see. Jiggers gonna spin it. Weidinger has the advantage over Carlito Mello. Here comes Carlito trying to battle back into 3 and 4. Carlito Mello, Franz Weidinger. Sets it up, Carlito Mello slip by and move on. Yes, here. They are off, down into 1. Give the advantage to the Subaru. Here comes Jared Smith battling back on the outside. Williams. Nose to nose here in 3 and 4. Who's it going to be in the stripe? Photo finish. Around? No, we do not. Here we go. Down into 1. Take 2. The advantage right now goes to Williams. Down the backstretch. Does Smith have anything for him? Ahead of steam into 3 and 4. Another one, close. Definitely by a nose. Wow. They are set. Down into 1. Liam Monahan looking to try to go back to back today. Off 2, down the back stretch. Matt DeRoches, my correction, looking to go back to back. Here comes Monahan. Monahan's going to get another one. Sorry. 1985. Camaro Z28. Gary DaCosta from Somerset. Green flag out. Here they go. Down into 1. DaCosta cruising. Taking a nice Sunday drive down into 3 and 4. Yeah, you gotta push it that much. It's on deck. Off of 4. Checkered flag waves. Gary DaCosta. Gonna move on. Matching up against Danielle Henshaw from Rainham, Mass. in her Nissan 350Z. Down into 1. Give the advantage to the Nissan 350Z. Danielle Henshaw. Smooth sailing. Off 2 down the backstretch. Here comes Paul Curtis, head of steam in that Chevelle. Does he have enough time? Good run, solid run, right to the back bumper of Henshaw. Not enough time. Chris Bailey from Southeastern Mass. Here they go, green flag out. Passat on the low line. Oliveira down into 1. Bailey on the high line, trailing the Passat down the backstretch. Into 3 and 4. Josh Oliveira, that red Volkswagen Passat, on board. Alex checkered flag, moving on. As Bailey takes it for a little spin cycle across the stripe. Here we go, at the stripe, Jutras, Johnson. Down into 1. Give the advantage to Johnson in the white 1985 Chevy Camaro. Off 2, head of steam. Heading for turn 3 and 4, a little loose. He's going to hang on to it. Into off the stripe. Jonathan Johnson going to move on. At the stripe, get the signal. They're off. Giants going to get a good jump. Down into turn number 1. Through 2. Off 2. Diaz. Leading in his Pontiac. Into 3 and 4. Tom, collective, off the floor, checkered flag wave. Diaz gonna move on. the advantage. Over the Toyota of Ramanos. Into 3 and 4. Walter Wickenback. Smooth sailing. Lead green. Checkered flag. Green is out. Down into 1. Scott Crosley with the advantage. Over Jeff Daniels. Here comes Daniels battling back. Not sure he'll have enough time in 3 and 4. Moving on. Green is out. Give the advantage off the stripe to Johnny Turbo in the Subaru. Here comes Perry. Looking, plotting that move. Does he have enough time? Head of Steve in 3, not enough time on 4. Johnny Turbo. Jonathan Stevens gonna move on. See? Here we go. Kazunas gets the jump off the stripe, down into 1. Tom Kazunas, 1984 Chevy C10, smooth sailing, motoring down the backstretch into 3 and 4. Steve Butler waves the checkered flag off of 4. Tom Kazunas. Moving on over Jacob Sylvia. Down into 1. Nose to nose. Battle of the Chevys give the advantage to Fitzgerald. Off 2. He checks out to the lead over Medeiros. Into 3 and 4. Here comes Medeiros with a head of steam into 3. Does he have enough time? He's going to run on the high line. Wow! At the stripe. This is Paul Ferreira from Somerset. Rhode Island, 1992 Chevy Corvette. Here they go. Down into 1 and 2. Off to down that stretch. Ferreira with the lead. Off of the off 2. Gil Bradstreet, smooth sailing, looks like Smolinski is checked out. Something broke. An issue for Smolinski, and Bradstreet can move on. From Lincoln, Vermont, 3-0. Jim Bucher battling with Elliott Smith, down into 1. Bucher has the advantage. She checks out to the lead. Down the backstretch. Jen Bucher, welcome back, and she is smooth sailing in 3 and 4. Checkered flag waves. Jen Bucher can move on. Up against Matt Barrows in that 2012 Ford Flex. Down into 1 and 2. Give the advantage to the Mustang over the Flex. Taccio checking out, not so fast. Here comes Barrows battling back up top. On 4, down to the stripe, Taccio. Down into 1, give the advantage to Oliveira. Look how much more air they're giving in the window closed. Oliveira leading. Oliveira. Michael. Michael. 19. Here they go. Down into 1. Christine Purse checks out to the lead from Fairhaven down the backstretch. Smooth sailing into 3 and 4. Checkered flag waves. Christine Purse collecting the checkered flag there. Give the nose advantage to Perry, but here comes Gingrich back up top, down the backstretch. Gingrich out by the nose, into 3 and 4. Give the advantage to Gingrich, and he's going to go spinning. Perry taking home the checkered. Subaru WRX. At the stripe, Monahan gets a good jump. Down into turn 1. A Sunday cruise for Liam Monahan here. Sonata, Wilbar Saliba. Down into 3 and 4. Checkered flag wins, Liam Monahan cruises. Of course, some classic cars here. Here we go, green flag in the air, down into turn 1. Curtis has the advantage up top. Here we go, off to Paul Curtis, leading Chris Bailey into 3 and 4. Paul Curtis takes the low line, comes off 4, checkered flag in the air. Paul Curtis gonna move on. Green flag in the air, down into 1. Give the advantage to Jutris here. Wernicke gonna have to battle back. Down, off, 2 and into 3. Jutris with the advantage. Gingerly walks through turn 3 and 4. Off 4. Right checkered flag. Jutris gonna... Green flag in the air. Down into turn 1 and 2. Daniels gets a good jump in the Mitsubishi Lancer, off 2, down the backstretch. Daniels leading Romanos into 3 and 4. Jeff Daniels going to see the checkered flag, collect the checkered flag, moving on. On the green, set to go. Green is out, here they go, down into 1. Joe Perry leading Jacob Sylvia. Off 2, down the backstretch, into 3 and 4. Joe Perry. Moving on. At the stripe, set to go. Down into 1, give the advantage to Fitzgerald. Here they go. Down the backstretch, into 3 and 4, Fitzgerald leads Bradley. Crossover. For Chevy Corvette. And Garaga down into turn 1 and 2. Give the advantage to Elliott Smith. Not so fast. Here comes Garaga battling back. Down into 3 and 4. Garaga comes on, takes on the checkered flag, moves on. Go. Green is out. Down into 1. Will the flex its muscles? Will it be the Infinity? Here we go, off 2, give the advantage to the Infinity. Chad Oliveira. Not so fast, the flex battling back, down into turn 3 and 4, on 4. Checkered flag for Chad Oliveira from Paul. Down into 1, Gerard has the advantage in that Audi. Smokes the tires in 1 and 2. Here comes Smith battling back. Smith down the back stretch into 3 with the lead. Here comes Gerard on the low line, battling back. Jared Smith moving on. Down into 1 and 2. Mello gets the jump, fielding, battling back. Here they come, nose to nose, door to door, down the back stretch into turn number 3. Carlito Mello is back. Fielding goes around up some landscaping. Carlito Mello, checkered flag.
That's the second time.
DeRoches took home the win last Spectator Drags just a couple of weeks ago, jumps out over Taccio. Taccio smokes the tires over in turn 1. Off of 2 down the backstretch into 3 and 4. DeRoches playing cat and mouse. Here we go. Off 4. Cruising home. Matchup. Down to 1. Ken Mueller gets a good jump in the Sumi. Through turn 2, off of 2, down the backstretch, into 3 and 4. Right to the back bars off there. Moving on. into turn 1 and 2. Purse with the advantage as they come off 2, down into 3 and 4, not so much. Here we go, Oliveira battles back on the high line. Gets it on the nose, gets it. Not enough time, Christine Purse, the Red Dragon, gonna move to C. Green is out, here they go, down into 1 and 2. Diaz jumps to the lead, off of 2, into turn 3. Diaz over Henshaw, gets up high in the speed drive. Here we go, across the stripe, Diaz gonna move on. Down into 1 and 2, Johnson with the advantage. Off of 2, into 3 and 4, Johnson over Crossley, checkered flag waves. Johnson moving on. Johnny Turbo with the Subaru down into 1 and 2, gets a good jump on Medeiros. Medeiros gonna battle back in the middle lane. Into 3 and 4. Stevens. Medeiros goes spinning into the grass. Johnny flag in the air. Down into 1 and 2. The BMW battling door to door with Kazunas. They're nose to nose down the backstretch into 3 and 4. Goes through the speedy drive, slows it down just a bit. Williams gets the advantage. Down into 3 and 4. Here comes Monahan battling back. Does he have enough time? Oh, no, he does not. Nathan. Here we go. They're off at the stripe. Curtis with the advantage on the low line here. Goes through the speedy drive. Jupiter slowed on the high line there. Down the backstretch. Curtis into 3 and 4. He's leading in that 64 Chevelle. All Curtis comes off 4, sees a checkered flag. And they're off. Green is in the air. Down into 1 and 2. Give the advantage to Perry. Down the backstretch. Give the advantage to Daniels now in 3 and 4. He goes high. Off the 4. He's got it. Just barely. At the stripe. They are set. Green is in the air. Fitzgerald gives a good shot down the bottom here. Into 1 and 2. Fitzgerald out front. The Crespin are going to try to battle back. Fitzgerald controlling the narrative over in 3 and 4. Off the 4, checkered flag. Fitzgerald gets moved on. Green flag out. Down into 1, gives the jump and the early advantage to Jared Smith. But as you've seen, they are battling and leading in speed dry over in 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, but not slowing Jared Smith down. Off 4, checkered flag. Jared Smith can move on.
It went.
So, Carlito Mello, 2024 champion, and our last spectator drag winner, Matt DeRoziers, they're out here together. Carlito Mello gets a good jump. DeRoziers going to battle back. DeRoziers gets a little loose there, too. Here we go. Down into 3 and 4. Carlito Mello leads the way. Off of 4. Checkered flag. Knocks off Matt DeRoziers. Green flag in the air. Here we go. Down into 1 and 2. Louis Diaz has the advantage over the Subi. Down the backstretch. Diaz smooth sailing into 3 and 4. Here comes the Subi back on the high line. Good shot on time. Diaz, come on. over purse. They battle. Down off 2. Out front, Johnny Turbo, Jonathan Stevens from Melrose leading over the Red Dragon, Christine Burns. Checkered flag waves at the starter stand. And here we go, green flag in the air. Down in 1 and 2. All sorts of loops. Kazunas holds on to it. That gives the advantage to Johnson. 3 and 4. Kazunas all sorts of loops again. Wraps it up, Johnson moving on.
Great job keeping it underneath them, though.
Green and Mount Williams gets a good jump. Down into 1, but here comes Bradstreet battling back down on the low line. Nose to nose, door to door, down the back stretch into 3 and 4. That's a beat Bradstreet. Here we go, down into 1 and 2. Daniels on the low line here. Curtis on the high line. Curtis has the nose advantage as they come off 2 down the back stretch into 3 and 4. Paul Curtis leading Jeff Andrews. Here they come off towards the side. Woo! Curtis in the 60-40
Out after this.
Here we go. Green flag is out. Down into 1 and 2. Give the advantage to Smith over Fitzgerald. Smooth sailing for that Corvette. 85 versus 90. The 90 is the 1-2. Collect the checkered flag. Jared Smith looking to get back into victory lane here today after the last 2 got knocked off in the early rounds. Here we go. Carlito has a jump. Johnny Turbo in the Subaru.
Yeah, Johnny got a good jump on that start, but
But
not helping him much.
here comes Carlito battling back down into 3. Carlito with the advantage. Johnny Turbo right there. Gonna try to Carlito Mello. Kate's down. They're set to go. Green is out. Williams gets a good jump with the Subaru. Here comes Johnson battling back down into 1 and 2. Off of 2. Nose to nose. Door to door. Here they go into 3 and 4. Johnson gets the nose advantage. The Subaru controls. Nathan Williams gets it. The crossover. Making some noise. What a round of applause. What a move there. Jimmy Dias' days. Not sure if he had issues. Down into 1 and 2. Paul Curtis. Nose to nose with Jared Smith. Paul Curtis pushes Smith up the track just a little bit. Takes the advantage. Smith going to battle back. Smith gets it. Wow. At the stripe, Jared Smith over Paul Curtis. Might have his hands full here as he can match up with Nathan Williams. Williams has been strong all day. He gets a good jump. They both get a good jump. Carlito Mello jumps out to the advantage. A lot of jumping in 1 and 2. Down the back stretch, Carlito Mello. Can he hold off Williams? Off of 4, checkered flag. Carlito Mello moving on.
So Mello is good.
Green is out. Here we go. Jump goes to Williams. Down into 1 and 2. Curtis going to try to battle back. Williams off 2. Smooth sailing down the back stretch into 3 and 4. Opening that advantage over Curtis into 3 and 4. Here comes Curtis. Not enough time. Williams.
It'll be the Subaru versus the Corvette for the finale.
And that Subaru has certainly showed its strong here today. Carlito Mello just knocked him off there, but second chance opportunity. Carlito had luck on.
Old school, push started. Pop the clutch.
Earlier this season.
So that's 2 out of 3, ladies and gentlemen, and we're underway.
Down into 1 jump back to it. Nose to nose, door to door, down the back stretch. It's anybody's ball game. Smith